Welcome to NYC Now, your source for local news in and around New York City from WNYC. It's Wednesday, November 5th. Here's the midday news from Michael Hill.
Zohran Mamdani, as we've been reporting, is the mayor-elect of New York City. He's also an immigrant who moved to the city when he was 7. Immigrant rights group Make the Road New York organized a watch party to await the election results last night. The crowd erupted in cheers of, or yes, he could, when Mamdani won. Many people at the party canvassed across the city for Mamdani in the primary and general elections. Diane Ramirez is from Jackson Heights, and she was one of them. She says she hopes he will stand up for immigrants.
Immigrants are the backbone of this country, and right now they're being criminalized for some reason, and I'm hoping that he helps change that story around, at least in New York City.
Ramirez also expects Mamdani to fulfill his campaign promise of free buses and child care. Mikie Sherrill will become the next governor of New Jersey, allowing Democrats to retain control of the governor's mansion. Sherrill defeated Republican Jack Ciattarelli in a contest largely seen as a political bellwether after President Trump performed well in the state last year. 6 counties that went to Trump last year flipped to Sherrill this year. Sherrill becomes the second woman to serve as governor of New Jersey. She'll succeed Democratic Governor Phil Murphy, who is term limited. Turnout in the race was high compared to 4 years ago. Good government group Citizen Union says New York City voters rejected a measure that would have been the first step in aligning local elections with presidential races. Supporters of the measure had argued that moving local contests to even years would boost turnout. But voters disagreed and made their voices heard in a local contest that saw record turnout. 52 and partly sunny now, mostly sunny and 63 today. Excuse me. With a light wind and wind gust up to 53 miles an hour. Very strong winds gusting 50-plus miles an hour tonight.
Stay close. There's more after the break.
Zohran Mamdani is the mayor-elect of New York City. In the years since he launched his grassroots campaign, the 34-year-old has gone from backbench member of the State Assembly to a household name across the USA. WNYC's Brigid Bergin has been covering the race from the start. She joins us now. Brigid, it looks as if Mamdani will get more than a majority of the votes cast. He's sitting at just more than 50%. How did he win over New Yorkers?
Well, Michael, you have to think back to how his campaign started. He went on a listening tour with voters, particularly Trump supporters in working class neighborhoods across the city, and he heard their concerns about the cost of living. So his campaign focused squarely on affordability and his response to what those New Yorkers told him. That's where he got plans for universal child care, a rent freeze for those stabilized tenants. You saw throughout the campaign he faced increasing attacks from his opponents over his experience, his background, and his Muslim faith. But he offered voters an alternative vision, one focused on hope.
We won because New Yorkers allowed themselves to hope that the impossible could be made possible. And we won because we insisted that no longer would politics be something that is done to us. Now it is something that we do.
And Michael, that we he is talking about are the thousands of volunteers his campaign recruited. They say more than 100,000, the million doors they knocked on, and the way more than 2 million voters that showed up in this race for the first time. The city has hit turnout of more than 2 million voters since 1969. Mamdani, as you said, got about half of those voters.
Former Governor Andrew Cuomo's attempt at a political comeback has failed. What is Cuomo's message to Mamdani during his concession speech last night?
Well, there was little regret from Cuomo on the stage last night. He said he ran the right campaign to push back against the way the Democratic Party is shifting to the left. Mamdani is a Democrat and a Democratic Socialist. Cuomo won 42% of the vote on an independent line, which he noted was slightly more than when his father ran unsuccessfully for mayor on an independent line against Ed Koch back in 1977. And he said that 42% also means this.
It's also important to note that almost half of New Yorkers did not vote to support a government agenda that makes promises that we know cannot be met.
Now, Michael, he did congratulate Mamdani, eliciting some boos from his supporters, but he said he would help unite the city.
And what about Republican Curtis Sliwa? He defied calls to exit the race for much of the general election. What tone did he strike during his speech to his supporters last night?
Well, Sliwa remained defiant. He congratulated Mamdani as the mayor-elect, but he insisted that he's not going anywhere.
We will not surrender. We will not retreat. We will not leave this city of New York.
Now, Michael, despite that aggressive tone, it's worth noting that Sliwa did underperform yesterday compared to the polls we saw. Going into the race, he received just 7% of the vote. Cuomo had accused him of being a potential spoiler in this race, but given that Mamdani won more than 50%, Sliwa's vote share was so small that even if Cuomo had gotten his vote, he still would have lost.
Mamdani had some words for President Trump during his victory speech. Tell us about them.
Well, he addressed the president quite directly.
So, Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
Mamdani went on to say the city would call out bad landlords like the Donald Trumps of our city, that the city would stand alongside union workers, immigrants, people of all faiths, including Jewish New Yorkers and Muslim New Yorkers like himself.
Did the president respond?
He did on Truth Social. He wrote that, quote, any Jewish person who votes for Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic nominee, is, quote, a stupid person.
What do the next 58 days look like for Mamdani?
Well, he will be in transition mode. That will involve setting up a fundraising committee for transition and inauguration, raising and spending. He already has an inner circle who has begun doing some preliminary transition work, but that activity is going to kick into high gear. We're going to see the types of individuals he surrounds himself with. He's already said he would keep Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, but their deputy mayors, schools chancellor, other high-profile posts he has to fill. And the work begins now, and it's going to continue even as they finish counting those votes.
That's WNYC's Brigid Bergin. Brigid, get some rest. You've been up all night on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks for listening. This is NYC Now from WNYC. Catch us every weekday, 3 times a day for your top news headlines and occasional deep dives. And subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. More soon.